Welcome to Worldy Global. This video is about Japan's planned floating city. Before enjoying this video, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Japanese firm Shimizu has a startling new concept: mini floating, carbon neutral cities that drift across the Pacific on giant water lilies. The green float concept includes a number of cells that could house between 10,000 to 50,000 people. The cells, each about 1 kilometer wide, could float freely or attach onto other cells to form larger towns, cities, or even countries. At the center of each cell, a 1 kilometer high city in the sky skyscraper would house the majority of residents, made from light alloys from the metal deriving from magnesium in seawater. Grasslands and forests would be plentiful around each pod, essentially becoming self-sufficient in terms of food, with farming and livestock throughout the plains. The creative concept Shimizu has dreamed up would potentially cut carbon emissions by 40%. Scientists claim each cell would convert waste back into energy using the latest green technologies, and even collect islands of floating waste to harvest more energy. Of course, the cities would have to float in waters guarded from extreme weather and tidal waves, ideally near the equator. Strong elastic membranes standing 30 feet above sea level would surround the cells to protect inhabitants from large waves. Sea walls as high as 100 feet could also be constructed, creating cities that are arguably more equipped to handle tsunamis than most coastal areas. Too outlandish? Not according to Shimizu scientists, who are actually proposing to develop the first cells by as soon as 2025. They're not only working on the technologies to make it happen, but even thinking up new ways to collect solar energy on Earth by encircling the moon with a belt of solar collectors. The land area, in Singapore, is never large, and this is a major issue for future growth of the country. By using underground or sea, it is possible to realize land unlimited, Masaki Takeuchi, the project leader of Green Float, told Singapore Business Review, in reference to her popular documentary on Singapore's land problem. With only 721.5 sqkm in land area and a population that's expected to grow to 6.9 million by 2030, Singapore has been aggressively exploring options to unlock more land, foremost of which is its Draft Master Plan 2019, which aims to free up over 1,000 hectares of land for property development. According to Takeuchi, Green Float offers two types of floating city, which would depend on the needs of a country. One would function simply as a city extended to the sea, becoming a place for commercial use, hotels and housing. The other type will house plants, warehouses and factories from the mainland and will be set up either inside or around the floating city. Commercial and housing areas will then be developed on mainland after their relocation. The city would rely on methods such as space solar power satellites, ocean thermal energy conversion and carbon dioxide capture and storage, making it self-sufficient and carbon-free, according to Green Float. To ensure food self-sufficiency, waste can also be used to grow food on vertical vegetable factories in the city's lower levels, which lends support to the government's goal of producing a third of its nutritional needs by 2030. Its floating city project, Green Float, can house up to 50,000 people, with only so much land to go around. Space-starved Singapore is looking at floating homes as a possibility to ease its crippling land shortage. Japan-headquartered engineering firm Shimizu Corporation thinks that more space can be unlocked by the waters as it tests its floating city model in various markets, including Singapore. Dubbed Green Float, the floating city project is expected to be able to withstand natural disasters such as typhoons and tsunamis and could stand for 100 years. The man-made island will be 3 kilometers in diameter, featuring a 1,000-meter tall skyscraper city. A city in the sky will be located on the upper 300 meters and the lower levels will be used to house natural farms and shops. The middle levels are designated for plant factories, whilst the upper levels will hold residential areas that can house 30,000 to 50,000 people. The floating city is to be placed at the equator line, which would reportedly insulate the city from destructive typhoons, hurricanes and typhoons. Furthermore, there are no landfilling procedures involved in the building of Green Float. A number of large cities have also reached the limit of landfill expansion, and Takeuchi adds that landfilling could cost more than building a floating city. This allows its properties to have not much of a price difference as compared to those on land. Because Singapore is near the equator, both the waves and the winds are calm. Also, floating city is more environmental friendly than landfilling, and there is no need to export a large amount of sand from other countries, he explained. Construction still hasn't started as the team is still in the midst of verification and testing phase of a starting model, but Takeuchi stated that he wishes to launch by 2030. The Green Float 2 project was certified by a third-party organization Class NK in 2017, which found the firm's mobile offshore drilling units and special-purpose barges compliant. However, he noted that what's mostly challenging them in every targeted market are its existing regulations. In Singapore, a floating city can only last 100 years, as it must still comply with its 99-year leasing policy for residential property developments that has been in force since 1967. The firm confessed that the model has capabilities to last for more than that. The mega float city is no exception, Takeuchi stated. Consensus making of urban planning and rational and efficient methods of construction will also gradually progress in the future. The speed of progress may be slower than the speed of technology development. As always, please make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel.